Hey, everybody. It's Brian from Ultimate Upland, and you are watching the Upland Game Show. It's the show where we talk about the outdoors, ask Upland questions, and try and find a winner of Bird Brain Trivia. And tonight, our very special guests. You're going to recognize these guys from stuff we've done before in the past. How can you not? We've got KC and Tyler from The Element.
What's up?
Howdy, sir.
Welcome to the show, boys.
Dude, glad to be here, man.
We've only tried to get this together for, what, 6 months? No, it hasn't been that long.
There's too many gallimimuses to chase in this world, Brian. We just don't always have time for videos, you know?
Hey, listen, I think my video is like the most popular video on your YouTube channel right now. You should always have time for me.
That's true.
It is in the last few months, for sure. So,
Birdman, what did you call it?
I don't even know. Yeah. Birdman shoots a hog.
Runs with knees high.
That was an awesome time down there. Well, you guys have been turkey hunting, right? I saw a video. Did you have any success besides the video I saw?
We went for 24 hours, pretty much.
Yeah.
What we went hunting for, and it was tough. It was tougher than last year, for sure. So
We didn't give ourselves as much time, and we had a weather front blow in. And you know us. We're not the greatest bird hunters in the world. We kind of just try to get in their way, and we didn't get any of his way.
Is the season only open for 24 hours down there in Texas? What's going on?
Yeah. There's so many turkeys and so many hunters that they just put too much of a dent on if it's open any longer.
Casey was pretty excited. He thought that you would definitely be proud of that video, though.
Yeah.
The very end of it, especially.
I got the shout out. Everybody check out that video. Is it a gob? I think that's the title of it, right? Search that in YouTube. And then you'll see my comment on there. I get the elements mentioned right there at 12 minutes 40 seconds, I think. Yeah. That was a good mention. Casey's always thinking about me. I'm always stoked about that. And in Casey's head about the party hunting and everything else.
You've been in his head, man.
If I would have shot 6 birds, Tyler would have tagged 2 of them for me, I promise.
Straight up party hunting. I don't think that party hunting and turkey season's allowed, but what do I know?
It's Texas, man.
I'm going to ask a series of questions. Now they have their pen and paper. The closest to the right answer will be awarded a point. Whoever wins at the end of the series of questions is going to get the coveted Ultimate Upland cap with the orangest orange you've ever seen. Casey loves that.
We don't have 2 out? Come on.
No. This is a competition. We've got to keep this all about competition. You're going to get the cooler sticker, Ultimate Upland, and, of course, your Cabela's $25 gift card.
Oh, now it's serious.
Not a sponsor. Cabela's not.
Get furthest to the right.
So I'd like to start in and talk about because hopefully people that haven't watched our videos before actually may tap into this video. So why don't you just give us the brief summary of how you guys got started hunting?
Got started hunting in general? I would say.
Yeah, that would be a rewind of 30-some years for you, right? So.
Pretty much.
I mean, don't go over all 30 years. Let's talk about upland hunting. What's your experience upland hunting?
Upland hunting. No, really, truthfully, my first experience upland hunting was about 7 or 8. We had a deer lease in Central Texas, and that's where I learned that quail were a species, pretty much, because we don't have them around home. And we had about a 300-acre place down there, and there was 2 coveys, and we'd ride the 4-wheeler around until we busted the covey, and then we kind of chase them up. And that's where I learned that they make a different call whenever you bust the covey and they're trying to group back together or whatever. So That's my early experiences. And then also, I don't know if you count this, but I shot emus on that place too, and surely that's an upland bird. So
those are definitely galliforms, right? You didn't tell me about that. Why haven't you guys let me in on the emu thing?
Well,
they don't fly.
Yeah, exactly. You can't flush them with a dog.
It's not sporting.
You know?
Oh yeah, we can. We can run those things with dogs. Don't underestimate the dogs.
True.
I'm not running these dainty breeds. I've got labs.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's right. No, for me, it was it was probably the same kind of deal, like deer lease in Texas, quail hunting early on. I can remember one instance where a buddy that we know, Aaron, Canada, apparently swung a shotgun like through my head pretty much, and luckily didn't pull the trigger while it was being swung through my head. So, but yeah, that's just kind of some redneck. We're lucky we survived through the youth of our redneck.
Well, what's the craziest thing? So Texas has got a lot of non-natives. What's the craziest thing you guys have shot down there? Not in birds. I'm just talking in general. I'm curious.
I already gave you emu. Let me think. So I actually did, work for the state for 2 years doing feral and nuisance animal control. So I actually didn't run across anything super crazy feral doing that. Before that, I did game capture, which is like, these big exotic ranches. They have a whole bunch of like just pretty much livestock that people like to call wildlife, So
you shot a giraffe, is what you're telling me.
No, I didn't shoot. Never got to shoot a giraffe. I guess the craziest thing I ever shot probably was like a blesbuck or something like that. I don't know, but I didn't really log it in my head because it was always kind of dumb. It wasn't hunting. It was population control type stuff.
You didn't eat that thing after you shot it in the middle of summer?
No, probably not. No, that was with the crew, so it's probably more of an eradication situation. That they have like different CITES things they have to go through with disease control and whatnot, and sometimes they'll bring a whole trailer load of stuff in. They're like, oh no, you gotta cap these things. So
you guys ever run across any jaguar down there now that the border wall's going up? Is there jaguar still down there?
Yeah, it's pretty much shut them out. They've done a documentary called "The River and the Wall." I think
right.
It's kept the jaguars out. For me, yeah, I've the probably craziest thing I ever shot was the Attwater's prairie chicken. So, but outside of that,
you shot a prairie chicken down there in Texas?
Attwater's, yeah.
Yeah, they have them at this refuge. You just got to go in before they open the gates.
Yeah,
I think that's illegal down there now, ain't it?
Well, I don't know. It's a questionable. There's a lot of gray laws here. But I did shoot a hummingbird one time. I have to admit that.
And it probably had just returned from South America somewhere. It made it through the border wall. There's little slats it could fly through.
That's right. I was a pellet gun junkie when I was young, So I used to like go through the Cabela's and Bass Pro catalogs and just like dream of this pellet gun, or that pellet gun or whatever. And so I love to hunt birds. Like stalk them around in the yard, just all kinds of different illegals. And so I ended up one time I just kind of whipped a pellet at a hummingbird. Didn't think I would hit it at all, and I hit it, and it was probably one of the like more sincerely remorseful incidents I've had. Yeah.
You still have nightmares about that hummingbird, don't you?
I do. Yep, I sure do. Yeah, they're little. They're just little.
Right. And its mate, they probably mate for life, and you're like, oh, and its mate was flying in circles around you, going, oh.
Yeah. You anthropomorphizer.
I know. I know. We've talked about that with the pigs. Hey, you Texas guys got something, an upland species down there that doesn't exist anywhere else in the country.
Yeah, we've been joking about it for years, like making it happen, and we need to actually go on a chocolaca hunt one of these days, man.
Oh, I thought you were talking about chupacabras.
Oh, yeah.
No. I was the chocolaca. The what? It's the jaguar. Was that the jaguar that made it through the fence? Those are down there, right? The only place in the country you can actually find one.
Yeah, you can do that on public land in Texas. How about that?
Those are crazy looking birds, man.
Noises.
For those, I started listening to some of the recordings, and they sound weird. They kind of sound like a little alien. But for those of you that don't know a whole lot about them, there's only 4 counties in the state of Texas you can actually hunt them in legally. I don't know how much of that is public land. I think some of it probably is. But their range, I mean, you guys have just the tiniest amount of range. I looked it up because I wanted to show everybody, because nobody knows about this bird. That range map, you can see like they're just down there in the tip of the tip.
And that I've spent time in a lot of those upper ranges, and I ain't seen a chocolaca. So I mean, really, you're talking about that lower Rio Grande Valley is where they're actually going to be, you know?
Yeah. They're really cool looking birds. I just wonder, they look like dinosaurs, man. They almost look like Roadrunner family. You know, they're definitely galliforms though. So I was like, man, you just wonder what the heck they taste like. Would you mount that bird or would you eat it?
Oh, eat it.
Man, that's a setup question.
Wait, am I supposed to write the answer down?
No.
Okay.
That's not. It's leading into the question, but I'm curious whether you'd eat it or whether you'd mount it. I mean, the number of people in this country who've probably harvested one of those birds, nobody talks about it. I don't even put it on the site. Honestly, I don't put that bird on the site because the truth is, I don't want. There's only 4 counties you can hunt those in, and I just think it's kind of crazy to send people, to get snake bit down there and try and pressure those 4 counties. That's me selfishly. You guys are locals. Go ahead and go shoot one.
If you swim the river, you can go shoot whatever you want to on the other side. So
get shot too.
You can get shot
real
too.
quick.
Yeah.
Hey, they actually aren't building much wall in Texas. As in preparation for my questioning, I looked up the amount of wall in Texas. There's not much wall. You guys use the river as the wall.
Well, that and guns. We have lots of guns down here. So.
Exactly.
So the chachalaca. Here's your first question.
Oh no.
It's they're the plain chachalaca. Do they nest on the ground or in trees? Let's see the answers, boys.
You said closest to the right, correct?
Alamo?
It's close. It's on the right of the page. Way closer than
ground. There's one ground and there's one. Who knows what Casey's written?
Arboreal.
Oh, you say they nest in trees. The answer is they nest in trees. Woo! 1 point to Casey.
That's right.
I knew I was going to get beat.
We didn't talk about this. There is a punishment for the loser. We always set up the punishment for the losers, and I forgot. I showed you guys what the winning prize package was, but now that Casey's up a point, why don't we go ahead and reveal what the loser's going to get on this?
What are we doing?
Well,
are we doing this or are we doing something else?
Here, let's do it both. We're going to do both of them. So loser has to eat this jalapeno over here, this raw jalapeno.
Oh, yeah.
At least a considerable chunk of it.
Yeah, at least like
a good solid bite, right?
Yeah. And then also, we lost our power source. Yes, there we go. So you got a good solid chunk of that guy, and then also wear pink shoelaces for the duration of the 2020 hunting season.
That's going to be the best thing ever. I mean, you're talking about on all your hunts, right? Like, I'm not none of this like, oh, we're turkey hunting, I can't wear pink. You got to have your pink on, right?
Well, technically that's the 2021 hunting season.
Sure.
So,
oh, you guys don't have fall season?
We are not going to probably target turkeys in the fall, at least.
There's no probably.
That's not the right way of doing things, Brian. True turkey hunt in the spring.
Yeah, and shoot them in the air.
Fall turkey hunting, you can hunt them with dogs.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't mind that. I mean, I just don't have any dogs.
Yeah, it's true.
I know somebody who has some.
Man, I wish that somebody would take me sage grouse hunting.
Point us in the right direction.
I would definitely find a way to mount and eat a sage grouse. I would be very careful with how I.
You're gonna skin it and mount it
and eat it.
Well, yeah, you've got this thing with sage grouse. I think you talked about where you're going to be, but the problem is where you're going to be. There's no intersection with where I'm going to be and where sage grouse are.
Yeah,
it's like you're not flexible.
Well, from what I hear, you're the problem, Casey, because you don't want to do anything but hunt deer.
No, it's not true. I hunt elk and hogs. Excuse me. I believe I'm the mentee of you, Mr. Brian Call, runs the Knees High Hog Hunter.
Hey, listen, here's the thing. Hog hunting doesn't happen until February. There's plenty of time for that.
That's true.
So, did you guys see, you talked about quail in your area, but not so much anymore. And it looks like I was doing some research on that in Texas, and the weird part is it doesn't seem like there's been a big contraction of the actual habitat. But there was like this 10-year drought cycle in Texas that really destroyed things down there. And then I don't know if you guys, do you know that guy, Dr. Kelly Raina from Texas A&M? He does all the quail stuff. He's called the Quail Professor.
Is he in Texas A&M proper, or is he at Commerce? Or
Commerce. He's at Commerce.
Oh.
Yeah, so I know of him. He's the one who's releasing the California quail to replace.
That's where I was going with this, man.
Yeah.
So the bobwhite population in Texas, which is the primary species, normally it would be considered the primary species. And then you guys have Gambles. And then, is there some scaled all the way up north or in the northwest
the
corner?
Scaled are going to be near the Big Bend National Park area over there.
Yeah. And but because of the according to Dr. Raina, the quail population has like gone down 80% in the state for bobwhites. So what they're trying to do, and that it's interesting what they're trying to do with the release. Now you're gonna like this. Those aren't valley quail. Those are California quail. You know the scientific name of them, right? It's Californica California or something like that.
Yeah, all these Cali's trying to move in here and change our voting cycle.
This is the craziest part is California might save quail hunting in Texas. Take that, Texas.
Here, let me tell you something. I'm not a fan of this. I think it's a cop-out.
So say why, because I was going there. I want to know what your feelings are on it, because, the truth is this in some regards would be considered releasing a non-native species onto the landscape, right?
Yeah. Have we not done this throughout, the history of wildlife and seen where it always has negative repercussions? Like, why is this suddenly a good idea in 2020 to release California quail in a place that they're like 600 miles from where they're supposed to be?
Well, so according to what the theory behind it is, and he's working for the Texas A&M Commerce, so they're looking at this from a business perspective in that if there are no quail hunters left in the state because there are no quail left in the state, then the economic boost and the boost to habitat and the boost to conservation goes away because quail hunters aren't there. So there's an interesting commerce aspect to this, an economic aspect.
That's a short-term look at it, I think.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I know it sounds long-term, but I think it's like if you're not looking into the long-term, are you actually looking out? Like, are we going to be done with bobwhites, period, anyway, in 40 years or whatever in Texas? Like if you're having some kind of non-native compete with their habitat, then we may save quail hunting in Texas. But if dudes just want to quail hunt to kill birds, they can go to a farm anywhere.
Well, so that's a very good point. And the other thing, so the difference between the species and what they've figured out and why Dr. Kelly Raina is doing it. Dr. Kelly, if you want to come on the game show and talk about this, I'm not slamming you. We're just using our prior knowledge of basically introducing non-natives. It never works.
He goes to church with my parents, actually. I've talked to him. He's a pretty nice guy.
Well, tell him to give us a shout. He can come on the show. We'll do a three-way battle, and he can tell us why we're all wrong. But the reason that they're doing that with the California quail is because those quail aren't disrupted as much by development. So if you've been out in their range, and I have been, you'll see, like, I was in a parking lot of a restaurant one time out west, and there must have been 150 quail in a covey feeding around me, and they did not care where people were. They, a bobwhite won't tolerate that. If you're in the space of a bobwhite, that's going to be a covey size of 20 birds, and as soon as you get within a stone's throw of them, they're gone. They're going to fly. And these birds they're just way more tolerant of disruption. And so the theory for establishing them is probably correct. Whether it's right or wrong in the landscape is super interesting. And then I think the reason they're releasing them up there in you guys' area, right, is they're releasing them in Northeast.
That's where A&M Commerce is.
Yeah.
But also this is like probably the epicenter of lack of quail too. So
right. So that now they don't have to worry about guys trying to kill these birds that they're releasing because nobody's hunting quail up there.
Okay. You just proved the whole point of why this is a bad idea. We're trying to save quail hunting, but the culture's gone, man. Like, my granddad was into quail hunting in the 50s and 60s. That culture's dead. If people, like, they aren't going to know what that thing with that lobby dude on his head is when it runs around, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's super interesting. They didn't, so they released last year. They did 250 birds. I'm sure those birds are in the right conditions can propagate pretty quickly. But I don't know how large scale they're going to get. It'll relieve some people in Texas to know that they got the birds in Idaho, not California. So even though they're the California quail, they're from Idaho. So. Breathe easy, guys. Breathe easy.
Republican California birds, or
there's another interesting part in that Texas hasn't put anything about harvesting those birds. If you shoot one accidentally, shoot 10 accidentally, I don't.
There should be like Asian doves.
Yeah,
or
can't
whatever.
you shoot 250 accidentally? I mean,
it's an unmanaged species right now, according to what according to the true regs, as I know. I'm sure Texas Parks and Wildlife would have a problem with me saying that, but it doesn't show. They don't show it as a species, a huntable species right now. Obviously, it wouldn't be with 250 of them, but it leads us to our next question.
Okay.
What is the possession limit of quail in Texas?
Oh my goodness! I know what it used to be.
Well, not daily bag, but possession.
Possession. KC says 20.
36.
The answer is 3 times the daily bag. Daily bag is 15, so possession limit is 45.
Ooh.
Tyler evens the score.
Man, got me.
I knew that the bag limit used to be 15, but then I thought, well, maybe it went to 12 with all the bad years we've had.
It's the bag limit is 15, the possession limit 3 times bag, and the bag limit is an aggregate of the 3 species that are there: Gamble's, scaled, and bobwhite. I find it. So let me ask you guys this, because I've had this conversation with lots of people. At what point does the possession turn from possession of birds to meat, or does it ever? If you have 45 quail in your freezer, are you limited out?
Yes. According to, if you're gonna go and say that game animals are game animals, then yes, because you can't have more than 50 catfish per person in your freezer, or 100 fillets. So
you're saying that possession continues through the freezer
until consumption, I believe.
Until consumption.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by possession just as a topic, because I hunt with some guys who consider once it goes in the freezer to be meat and no longer to be bird. I think that's probably pressing the letter of the law pretty far. I don't really know. All I know is that luckily I hunt in like 8 different states and I have licenses to prove it. So does my possession limit extend because I buy additional licenses?
Oh yeah.
And can I prove where birds came from?
Yeah, because they don't have tags like a big game animal.
There's none of that. So it fascinates me as to what that possession is. I think that the reason they do the possession limit is because of travel hunters and coolers, I think, is the intent, but it's not technically written that way. And so I think you could ask different wardens and they'd probably have different definition for what possession is. But I know that there are a lot of guys who hunt birds who consider possession the entire time you have it, like in the car, in your cooler, but the second it goes in the freezer, that's no longer possession. They consider that to be meat.
Yeah. I don't know either. Yeah, that's a good question. There's speaking of like gray laws, there's here in Texas, like how close you can be to a road when you fire a firearm is also like going to be a game warden, up to the game warden kind of thing. Like there's basically I think the only law, I've researched this like several years ago. I think the only law that's like a statement that you can kind of bank on is the fact that you can't shoot over a road. But I think you could literally hunt on the fence line next to the road and fire away from the road. But it doesn't.
As long as the projectile doesn't cross the road, is what you're saying.
Yeah, there's no like we always grew up here, and you can't hunt by the power lines, you know, when you're dove hunting and this and that, and because, you know, you can't be hunting by the road or whatever. But there's no like law on how far you have to be from the road, which the reason I say that is I was looking into this because I used to waterfowl hunt in high school, and there was a particular spot that was close to a bridge that went over the lake, like a long bridge and a you know, big farm to market road. And I always wondered, like, because a game warden can just pull down that road right there. I mean, there's gonna be people going back and forth, and if they hear you shooting, they can call a game warden. He can pull up and just watch you the whole time and check you when you get done. So like, I always wondered, you know, this is a spot I could get a ticket, so I need to know the law, and I could not figure it out really.
Well, I think that there's been a movement in Ohio. There's been a movement, and I think it's starting to make its way through some of the other state agencies where they're trying to simplify some of these laws, because the way they're written in legal speak makes it so hard to understand. And whether you're, you know, this in this part of the county or that part of the county and having different regs everywhere, it can make it really difficult. But for you guys and for me, you know, obviously we know we try and follow the letter of the law as close as we can all the time, because we're in the public eye. And so, you know, it's not even that. I mean, I've always tried to follow that line, but you know, because people are watching your stuff, that if you do one little thing that is interpreted the wrong way, that you're going to get called out on it in a public space. And it's been a career ruiner for some people, and rightly so. You know, I don't expect that to happen to me, but you know, we always, you know, there's this possession thing always comes up in my head, because I talk to guys who interpret it differently, and I've never gone, you know, I always err on the side of conservative in those regards. You know, I don't want to push it, because I don't want to be that guy that gets, you know, just a fine for being over possession. You know, that'd be a bad news.
Yeah, well, we never really have an issue with killing 45 quail in a season here, so you know, that's it's kind of a moot point for us.
So you guys, Texas is the land of leases, man. You guys don't have, so you're known for hunting public access, public land in Texas for the most part. I'm sure you do some private stuff, but by and large, the element is known for their public land pursuit of animals in Texas. You go beyond that, but the truth is you're public land guys. You hunt public land, public access. You want to hunt where every Joe can hunt, and so do I. But honestly, in Texas, it's the land of leases, right? I mean, what's a lease running down there nowadays?
It depends on what you want out of it, and
where it's located.
And you know, I think the standard is a season lease for fall and spring seasons. And you know, and they do it by gun, right? And usually, what that means is you can bring you and maybe take a kid out or something, and it's all going to depend on, you know, your agreement with the lease guy. But I mean, $3,500 per gun is probably starting point, I would imagine, for a season lease. Then
yeah. I mean, it depends. Like, honestly, like there's like if you look like an hour and a half west of the DFW Metroplex, like not big deer at all. There's a lot of animals. There's turkeys, there's deer, there's hogs, there's a lot of targets, but not big deer at all. But the proximity to Dallas makes it a high dollar place, because all these guys that make good money in Dallas go out there, and they don't have to drive for 7-8 hours to go down to the brush country or something like that. And then, but there's also the brush country that has really high dollar prices because of the size of the, you know, the Muy Grande antlers down there. So
this is a foreign concept to so many places that have public land or have much more public access. Places you've been to, obviously, where, you know, you guys have been to Colorado, you've been to Kansas, you've seen the public access. I'm assuming you guys fall on the side of public access being a better scenario, but I've heard the argument from people who are accustomed to ways in Texas and accustomed to leases that I've heard the counter argument to it, that there's a positivity to it, especially for the landowner. But I mean, what's your feelings on it? I mean, $3,500 doesn't that make it unattainable for just a lot of people?
Absolutely. Tyler and I are pretty much included on that, if you let me speak for you, right?
Yeah,
like we both don't have leases. I've heard that point a lot. There's a very popular, well-known would you call it, a conservation group, Texas Trophy Hunters Association from Texas, all about managing whitetails on private land. It's like their thing, right? And good or bad, we'll kind of leave that argument out of it. But yes, they're going to be a proponent for private land ownership and management. And you can say that there's a lot of bad things about the lack of public land in Texas, but man, Texas wildlife, outside of like quail and turkeys in East Texas, like wildlife is in great shape in Texas, and especially whitetail, but it's very economically driven. Things that don't make much money aren't going to be managed. And that's where you have like this flaw in like the capitalistic view of wildlife.
Yeah, I find both sides of the argument. I could probably argue both sides of it. For guys like us, that are just starting in this kind of hunting industry business, although we've done it for a while, the truth is that, I'm not going to lease up for $3,500 when I can, go to states where there's public access and I can pay my license fee and hunt with everybody else. But for people who aren't accustomed to that model in Texas, because they're blessed with states with massive swaths of public land, to hear that, the average guy in Texas is hunting on a lease. I mean, there's no doubt. But that brings us to our next question, and the reason why the average guy in Texas is hunting on a lease instead of public ground.
There's going to be disparity to this answer.
No, there's not. How many acres of national forest land are in the state of Texas?
Oh, that's going to be a tough one. He went detailed that way. Yeah. Let me do some totaling here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
You guys total. I'm going to tell people about, because a lot of people don't know about national forests. The truth is national forest land, that's not national parks. That's not Yosemite or Yellowstone. National forest is the bulk of public land in this country. And national forest, and by and large, is accessible for hunting, fishing. It's mixed use. It's managed for mixed use. So there's a lot of timber. There's a lot of hunting, a lot of fishing, a lot of hiking, backpacking, a lot going on. So unless it's otherwise noted, national forest land is always open to hunting. So states that are blessed with lots of national forest, it's a good deal for the hunters.
Question. I got a question for you. Does this include all lands managed by the National Forest Service that
Yes.
may not? Okay. That's a lot. I think there's a lot.
Well, listen, they don't. The Forest Service doesn't manage BLM land, which Texas has BLM land, a ton of it.
A ton of it.
I thought you guys had a ton of it out in the western half.
So you might be right, like around El Paso. I don't know for sure.
Maybe, but I don't know. I'd have to look and see which one, which has more, BLM or National Forest in Texas.
It has a ton of that is really bites us in the butt. There's two things. There's state lands that are managed by the GLO, the General Land Office. Those are not accessible. And the GLO, their main priority is to sell those lands.
Well, pull a profit.
Yeah,
but
pull a profit.
But you're all right. I think they're actually with the intention to completely sell off all lands.
They want to not have to be a GLO anymore.
Right. Maximize the money capacity on the land itself, right? And
then we have endowment land, which is going to be owned by the universities. And
so that's like state trust land in other states where it goes to education, right?
Yeah, the GLO land is also like state trust land. It comes up blue on your map, and then the endowment properties usually are kind of like a dark orange, almost like a BLM color. So
let me ask you this one: on those plots, because in my experience in states where there's state trust land, every time I go to a state trust plot that's laid out, it's garbage. Like there is no cover left there. It's been grazed to the nubs. It's been baled. It's been used up as hard as it can be used. Is that your experience?
Well, there's no. So yes, but there's none that you can actually access. So we don't really look at it that much. It's honest. Like there's not a place you can go, and that's a state trust land that you can access in Texas. So
they lease it. So
yeah, if you wanted to lease, sorry, let me step up.
Yeah.
If you want to lease it for hunting rights, you could. But you'd have to outbid a cattle rancher.
You have to outbid a cattle rancher, and that's not going to work probably.
Yeah,
I mean, you could, but I think they would find a way for you to ranch the cattle rights or lease the cattle rights and probably sublease those, and have the hunting rights for some.
But by the time it's grazed down to nothing, it's probably not good for much, anyways.
I hate grazed lands so much.
I'll tell you, there's an argument for grazing in the appropriate way.
Sure.
We'll talk for hours. That's a whole other hour of conversation. But it's
bison are gone.
it's disturbance of the soil. And if you heavy graze an area instead of if you heavy graze an area, then the native plants come back better than the non-natives, apparently. But if you're selective grazing, the cows only eat the best forage and don't leave anything for wildlife. So you got to heavy graze a small area and then move the animals off that plot for a set period of time and let it regenerate and then move them back.
That ain't happening.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, you know how many acres of national forest are in the state of Texas?
No.
I have an assumption.
Let's see.
You go first. I went first last time.
Okay, I put 500,000 in 1 acre.
Okay.
I put 1.1 million.
Well, name the national forest right now. Can you name them?
Yeah, that's going to be Sam Houston, Davy Crockett, Sabine. Then we've got Caddo National Grasslands, which is part of the National Forest. We got LBJ National Grasslands and Rita Blanca Grasslands. And then is there another?
I think there's another one in Southeast Texas.
According to the data, there's only 5 total national forest and grassland. It's Angelina. You heard of that one?
I say Angelina, yeah.
Sabine, Sam Houston, Davy Crockett, and LBJ Grassland.
Okay, Caddo is managed as a part of LBJ, but they're leaving Rita Blanca off for sure.
No, because Rita Blanca is managed by New Mexico.
That's managed by the Kiowa National Grasslands. That's right. Although it is in Texas.
Yeah.
Partially in Texas. There's 675,000 acres according to the interwebs, which would mean Tyler's closer. So
Price is right.
2-1 Tyler.
Wait, so I got cheated because they didn't count Rita Blanca, didn't I? Dadgummit. Oh, I'm gonna look that up later. See how much.
What's so I did some hog hunting with you guys. How much of that pig you got left, Casey? What you took most of it, right?
Yeah. I've probably eaten 1/3 of what I took home. So whatever that is, I don't know. Not I, but family, you know.
Yeah.
You took like 7. Right?
Yeah, pretty much. I ground up a bunch of it, and dude, let me tell you something. That's probably the more underrated thing to do with hog because it's not quite as lean as
That's right.
as deer and stuff. So it actually browns up really nice. Oh, the best tacos, man! It's so good.
So the stuff that I took, which I was on the way out to another trip, and then I came back through, so I couldn't take a whole lot. But I cut some pork chops and made those first. And the pork chops, because it's not like domestic pig, they're a little tougher. But man, I took the rest of it and I ground it up, and it's the best ground pork you're gonna find.
Yeah,
it was great. What's your favorite animal to eat?
It's hard to not put a ribeye steak on there. You know?
What's your favorite wild game to eat?
I probably know yours. You can go ahead.
And what recipe?
Can I divide it into like 4-legged and 2-legged critters?
Yeah, go.
Okay, so I love wild turkey, man. It is so good. Wild turkey's hard to beat. And then I haven't had an appropriate sample size, so I can't say caribou. I would like to, so I'm going to say elk as being the top. I've only had caribou twice, and it was delicious. But
you going simple on that preparation? You frying the turkey into nuggets and grilling the elk or caribou? Is that what you're?
So sort of. On the turkey, you just can't not fry the breast. Okay, sorry, but on the thighs and legs, I've been making this. Like, what's it called? It's like a tomatillo salsa stew with hominy and stuff in it, and doing that with the legs and thighs. And dude, that's the best food. I mean, no lie, it is so good.
I could you had me at tomatillo. I'm in.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff, man.
I'm a seafood junkie, so like that's what I would place above probably any mammal, or feathered. But like if we're talking about things you can hunt, really, we went and did some public land bird hunting in January this year, and shot a bunch of pheasant and quail in Kansas. And I did this recipe out of Jesse Griffith's book, who's a chef down in Austin.
Yep.
And I can't remember, it's called Hot Fried Birds or something like that. It's got like a little jalapeno, but they're essentially like whole fried quail. And they've got like a honey jalapeno batter, like thing that you drip. I guess you don't put that in the batter. You batter them up, then you put the honey jalapeno like glaze on them afterwards or whatever. And it is like, it's pretty hard to beat, man, for sure.
You guys are going way high in on me. So after being down there with you and watching you plunk a bunch of tree rats, I was like, you guys are definitely saying some kind of squirrel on here. I thought sure somebody was going to say squirrel.
I almost said nutria rat, we used to have a bunch of those.
Hey, yeah, I think close alternate's going to probably be bullfrog. Dead yum, man. Bullfrogs are good eating. Yeah.
Are those upland game?
It depends. It depends on where the frog was when you got him.
You can hunt them with dogs.
True.
I swore I thought I remembered you telling me something about squirrels in a crock pot with a can of cream of mushroom soup.
Yeah.
Is that you?
I think that was you.
No, was it? I don't know if it was me. I've done squirrels in a crock pot barbecue.
Oh, barbecue might be good too. Well, there's a standard recipe, and a lot of guys talk about it because the pheasant hunters always looking for ways to cook their pheasant and not make it tough, and so they always go to the cream of mushroom soup recipe. That's kind of the default. Dude, I figured you guys were using it on your squirrels.
I brined those pheasant that we shot a little bit and just cut them into strips, and it was bad to the bone. Like, it wasn't tough. It was, I don't know. People say they're super tough, which, I mean, it wasn't legs, it was the breast, because I didn't decide how we cleaned them actually out of that group. But
the older the birds, the tougher they get. They're just like chickens. So if you shoot a 3-year-old bird, you're gonna know it, man. Like it's like chewing on your shoe sole. It can be that tough. But brining helps for sure. But I would go on back to that Campbell soup recipe, because I know you guys want that Campbell soup recipe. I totally expected you to. So I was going to ask a question about Campbell soup.
Okay.
How many calories are in a can of cream of mushroom soup?
Oh, this isn't per serve. How many servings are in a can of cream of mushroom soup?
There's 2.5 servings in a can of cream of mushroom soup.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay. You weren't expecting that question, were you?
No, that's
no.
$24.99.
In one can of cream of mushroom, $24.99, huh?
Yeah.
I think I got him. This is $5.30.
$5.30. Let me show you. In one can of cream of mushroom soup, there are. You guys got that?
No, your thing's over it. I can't see it.
Your screen's over it.
Not anymore.
No, your little picture's over it. We can't see it. It's just perfectly not.
It looks like a 1.
It's perfectly imperfect. 100 calories. 250 calories.
250 calories. Casey ties it up.
There's no calories in cream.
Do you know where that is manufactured at?
I hope it's manufactured in Campbell, Texas.
No, it's not actually, but you're close. Paris, Texas.
You guys should have known that then for sure. That should have been a no-brainer. But I do like the fact that we're going into the last question and it's all tied up. It's like, this isn't a runaway. This is for real. This is for all of the beans. It is great. So I started thinking about that hog hunting stuff, and I told you that, and you guys who haven't seen the video, you're going to see. You should go to The Element on YouTube, check out their videos. It's in the off season, although it wasn't the off season, but it's in that playlist. And you're going to see how we hunted these hogs, which was totally different experience for me, but we were shotgunning. So I just looked at it and I kidded these guys about it. It's just me. It's hunting 4-legged birds essentially that can't fly. I treated it that way, and I had a lot of fun and learned a lot from these two. But I started thinking about that hog hunt. What's the plans for the upcoming year? Let's talk about that first. What do you guys got going? Where are you going to go this fall? What is the overall plan that you can reveal? You don't have to be too super clear, but are you going after anything different, strange? Where are you going? Because you guys don't just hunt deer. You do lots of stuff.
We don't have too many secrets really right now. Honestly, right now we're sitting on a property that I closed on about a week and a half ago that probably plays into our season quite a bit. Should be some good, decent deer hunting opportunities right here. It's 27 acres. It's been a dream of mine for a long time to have a place that I could, manage for deer as far as just like fully, not just like passing deer, or whatever, let them get bigger, but more just like growing up the stuff they need, creating habitat, that kind of thing. Just fun stuff. That's fun stuff for me, I think. KC's been doing that on his property as well that he closed on in 2018 December.
I've owned it for pretty much a year and a half.
Yeah,
I've been kind of messing around with that.
So
you guys are going to spend a lot of time in Texas is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, when we're not elsewhere, we will be here.
Yeah. It's not like fabulous deer hunting around here, but it's definitely when we're at home and we've got an afternoon, we're just going to go around here. But we've got
what's your September?
Yeah, we're going to be hunting some public stuff in Texas as well, which we've done, like you mentioned earlier. And then September is going to depend on what happens at the beginning of June. But I should draw an elk tag in Colorado. So it's people were drawing the tag on a point less than I had this year putting in for it. So last year. So anyway,
do you think there's going to be any impact? You guys expect any impact? I've been talking to some state officials around here, but you guys hearing any murmurs about seasons being closed for out-of-state hunters because they don't want travel?
I would think they would lose so much revenue if they closed down elk season for non-residents in Colorado.
I didn't say they were going to give you your tag money back. I just said they were going to close the state down so you couldn't go there.
Well, there's still economical advantages to people traveling within the state and buying gas and ice and hotels and all that, So if they were smart, which Colorado cannot be smart sometimes, if you look at their bear seasons and stuff, I think you could make that assumption. If they were smart, they would keep things intact. I think one thing that a lot of states have done that is not good, and people and organizations as well, is just jump the gun and go, well, we're closed for this long, or we're just going to go ahead and shut this down completely. We're not going to entertain the NCAA, March Madness at all, whether there's fans or not. Everybody's jumping the gun, I feel like. So if they were, hopefully what we can do is just kind of calm down a little bit and just wait till things need to happen as opposed to making things happen before they need to. So
it's been a giant
100%. What's that?
It's been a giant game of follow the leader. As soon as somebody makes a rash move, everybody else has to do it, because if they don't, then the other person looks like they did it right and you did it wrong. And that's the political sphere we live in.
Yeah, it's been really strange. And I've been trying to figure out a place to go do some scouting, and a lot of the National Forest campgrounds are closed right now, which drives me absolutely insane.
In the aggregate or whatever they call it, like you don't have to use a campground, but you can go and just remote camp.
You could remote camp, though they have all of the outhouses and and all the water shut off.
Yeah.
So, and it depends on the state.
You have to take a shower every day, Brian.
I know.
For that hair, though, you might have to. That's like James Bond hair, at some point, James can get out of the water and it not be messed up, but you might be a little different.
Hey, my virus hair is looking awesome right now, man.
Yeah, it's good.
You look like Wolverine.
That's what I was kind of going for. I was going to grow those chops out, and then next time I come pig hunting, I'm going to have claws.
That's how you're hunting.
You're fast enough. Apparently.
Well, speaking of speed, When I was down there, you guys told me that people can run as fast as a wild pig.
Mhm.
That was the direct quote from you guys, because I was asking, well, what do you do if they're running? And you said, you can outrun a pig. And I said, okay, I'm going to believe these guys. And so according to Texas A&M, how fast can a wild pig run?
Hold on. Is this Texas A&M proper or Texas A&M Commerce again?
This is Texas A&M proper this time.
Ooh.
Uh,
Texas A&M AgriLife.
Yes, sir.
That's my former employer. So.
Well, then you've got the inside scoop on this.
Let me write this big since it's the last one.
This is for all the marbles, boys. This is a pig hunting question. You weren't expecting that. You thought I was going to rip you with some chachalaka questions, but oh no, we went to pig hunting.
Man, I've been looking up chuckers all week. Getting ready for this. I got to write something down, don't I? I guarantee you they have it set too high. I guarantee you.
I kind of thought that too. Because the one athletic pig, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the one long-legged hog that they timed. I'm not going.
Well, this is great.
I wrote my eye as well because I thought, they're gonna have some long-legged pig.
All right, let's see it.
I'll go first.
Yeah. 29 miles per hour.
17 miles per hour.
According to Texas A&M, wild pigs can run 30 miles per hour.
No way! No way! No way!
Tyler goes through with the victory. You fools told me I could run as fast as a pig. I looked up how fast Usain Bolt was. He runs 27 miles per hour. I can't run as fast as Usain Bolt, and I can't run as fast as a pig.
Dude, you outran pigs.
Oh, man.
Hey,
I cut pigs off. I didn't outrun them. Hey,
dude.
Tyler wins the ultimate Upland hat, the ultimate Upland sticker, and the $25 Cabela's gift card. But
I'm a
beyond all that, what we've all been waiting for, there's no second place.
You want some water?
Yeah, no, I got
water
over here. I got a jug over here. This doesn't have any cracks in it, so it shouldn't be too hot.
It's kind of dark, though.
Yeah, it's got to have scarring if it's going to be hot.
Hey, first of all, let me just say this. When it comes to pigs and speed and running them down, there's a difference in your straightaway track speed and game speed. You know what I mean?
There's a reason that 4.9 safeties can cover 4.6 receivers every day of the week.
I'm technically faster than Usain Bolt. I mean, the pigs know it.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, that buckshot was definitely faster, and that's what matters. All right, here we go.
Oh.
Those things are hot.
Are they?
Those are hot.
You can be done. You don't have to.
That was kind of a small bite. I don't know if I'd accept that, Tyler.
It smells real hot.
It's not the worst. That's pretty warm. What's bad is this kind of is burning. But tomorrow, sir, is where the true punishment for second place comes in.
Tomorrow's burn is so much better.
Oh, I'm going to FaceTime you then, too.
Well, thanks for coming on, guys. It's awesome. You guys are awesome sports. Some of my favorite hunters out there, my favorite people out there. Definitely my favorite Texans, without a doubt. Hey, tell everybody what you got going on. What do you got to plug? I know you got lots of stuff coming up this season, but catch the podcast. Oh, let's talk about the big news. You guys are jumping ship and going over there with Joe Rogan, right, to Spotify. Are you guys doing that?
Yeah.
Well, we actually have been on Spotify for a while, but Apple Podcast is, I think, going to be king for quite a while. Just the way it goes.
Well, not now that Rogan's jumping ship. You guys saw that, right?
Yeah, true.
We're going to put Spotify on our next title for sure. Don't you worry. SEO.
Rogan said he's moving to Texas, maybe. So we're not sure what's going on in this world right now. But yeah, for us, YouTube is kind of our probably the best way to see who we are and what we're about, I guess. The podcast is a captured audience that we can definitely get a little more detailed on outside of the video stuff. So you can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, and like I said, YouTube's kind of thing. I mean, we try to do some somewhat high quality photos on Instagram and Facebook, but sometimes it's just
Brian's in them.
It's Brian. It's
Sometimes Brian's in them, so
it's not high quality.
Those are the most popular ones.
Yeah.
Well, check out in the comment section below. I'll definitely link you guys' podcast, and I'll link your YouTube channel. I can't thank you guys enough. Been awesome, and can't wait to hang out with you again. We're gonna find when we cross paths in that sage grouse territory somewhere, and we'll get that figured out. But I think we're gonna be closer in sharptail country this year. I'm looking at my schedule right now, so I'll let you guys know. Anybody who's watching, if you like what you see, go down there and smash that subscribe button and then hit that little bell so you get a warning every time I do anything on YouTube. And definitely do the same for the Element folks as well. It's been awesome, guys, and can't wait to see you again, man.
Awesome. Thanks brother.
Yeah,
Good
thanks.
talking to you, man.
Thanks for the card and all that stuff too, man. Really appreciate that. You didn't have to do that.
I'll get it headed your way, dude.
Cool. I'll spend it wisely.
Hey, I've got to risk getting the Rona just to drop that off at the post office for you.
You're young and healthy. You'll be fine.
Yeah. What are you, like 27?
Yeah, I look like it. We've talked about this before. I look younger than KC. Come on. I'm actually getting close to you now, Tyler. Let's be real.
The reason he has to have a official campground is because Just for Men requires washing out. You can't do Just for Men and leave it in.
All right, we're gonna end on that.
We love you, brother.
All right, talk to you, boys.